People have a crude caricature of danger. They imagine it as a roaring presence, all sharp edges, clenched fists, and a face poised for conflict. This is precisely why they fail to identify the most lethal person in the room, the one who appears kind. The one whose smile suggests they have nothing to prove. The one who speaks softly, holds doors open, and never raises their voice. Because the kinder you appear, the safer people feel in your orbit. And the safer they feel, the more careless they become. Their guards drop. They reveal their true selves. They test your limits. They take liberties. They mistake your patience for weakness and your manners for manageability. This is their first, and most critical, mistake. Understand this: kindness is not surrender, it is camouflage. It is the velvet glove that conceals a blade. When you look harmless, you are granted closer access. People will offer you information they would never give to a perceived threat. They will confess their deepest insecurities. They will betray their envy in the form of jokes. They will leak their intentions through small, casual acts of disrespect. And while they are busy underestimating you, you are studying them, not with emotional eyes, but with clean, strategic vision. You have no need for intimidation, it only makes people defensive. What you need is to make them comfortable. Comfort makes people predictable. Comfort makes them sloppy. All the while, you remain calm. You remain polite. You remain in control. Because your power isn't in your appearance, it's in what unfolds after someone misjudges you. The moment they cross a line, expecting you to yield, you do not explode. You do not argue. You do not plead for understanding. You simply, and silently, remove their access. You withdraw your warmth. You revoke their privileges. You allow consequences to arrive as quietly as a door locking behind them. It is only then, when it is far too late, that they grasp the truth. The sweetest face can enforce the coldest rules. Listen closely. Your kindness is being fundamentally misread, because most people cannot distinguish between warmth and weakness. They have been conditioned by lazy thinking: loud equals strong, soft equals fragile. So when you present a gentle demeanor, they relax their guard and begin to treat you like a resource, an option, someone who can be pushed without repercussion. Watch how this pattern unfolds. First, they reward your politeness with entitlement. You reply quickly, so they assume you are always available. You forgive easily, so they assume you don't keep score. You offer second chances, so they assume there is no final one. And because you don't punish minor disrespect, they steadily increase the dose. A joke that cuts a little deeper. A favor that slowly morphs into an expectation. A boundary accidentally crossed, just to see if you will react. This is not random, it is a test. People don't test those they genuinely respect. They test those they believe they can manage. The dark psychology here is simple: humans treat you according to the patterns you train them to follow. If your kindness lacks structure, it becomes an open invitation for exploitation. If your calm has no limits, it becomes permission to invade. The worst part? They will continue to see themselves as good people while doing it. They won't frame it as taking advantage, they'll frame it as you simply being nice. This is why you must upgrade the very definition of your kindness. It must be a conscious choice, not a default reflex. It must have gates. It must have a price, not of money, but of respect, honesty, and conduct. When people realize your warmth is conditional, based entirely on how they handle you, they become careful. They become precise. They stop reaching into your life with dirty hands. Live by this rule: never look like a problem, but always be a problem for anyone who tries to use you. Your face remains calm, your voice stays low, but your standards remain high, and your consequences are quiet, immediate, and unforgettable. This brings us to the Machiavellian frame: being loved versus being feared. Niccolò Machiavelli understood a truth most good people refuse to confront: the world doesn't reward purity, it rewards perception. And perception is a battlefield. Amateurs repeat his famous line about love and fear like a slogan. The intelligent apply it like a scalpel. You don't need to walk around acting feared. That is the clumsy mistake of insecure men. They puff out their chests, issue threats, and posture, then wonder why people either challenge them directly or sabotage them in secret. Real power is far quieter. Real power is when people feel safe enough in your presence to be themselves, yet still hesitate to cross you because they sense the unyielding rule beneath your smile. They sense a restraint that isn't weakness, but disciplined strength. This is where the kind look becomes truly dangerous. When you appear gentle, you can collect loyalty. When you are immovable, you command respect. The combination of the two makes you rare, difficult to label, and impossible to control. Machiavelli's lesson was not, be cruel, it was, be effective. If your kindness makes you predictable, it becomes a leash for others to pull. If your kindness makes you admired but not respected, you become a comfortable target. So you evolve. You remain warm without being perpetually available. Polite without being pliable. Calm without being passive. And when someone inevitably forces the question, when they push to see what they can get away with, you answer without drama. Not with anger, but with consequence. You don't beg to be loved. You don't chase to be chosen. You don't perform to be understood. You let people enjoy your softness, but you never let them forget your standards. That is the Machiavellian upgrade. You become the man who can be liked without needing to be, and that is precisely what makes you feared in the only way that truly matters. Your new weapon is not aggression, it is contrast. A gentle presence with a spine of steel. You move with intention, you walk slower, you speak less, you react later. Speed is the tell of the insecure, of men who rush to defend their ego. You don't protect your ego, you protect your standards. When you enter a room, you don't scan for approval. You scan for patterns. Who is performing? Who is observing? Who flatters? Who interrupts? Your eyes remain calm and your expression soft, but your posture communicates one clear message: I am not here to be handled. Your voice is low, clean, and almost friendly, not because you are harmless, but because you are in complete control. You do not over-explain, over-apologize, or overshare. You let silence do the heavy lifting. Silence compels people to reveal their intent. A manipulator will fill the void with pressure, a respectful person will fill it with clarity. You learn the difference without lifting a finger. And when someone tests you with a small disrespect, a casual display of entitlement, a tap on your boundary, you don't change your mood. You change their access. You maintain the same soft expression while the rules around you become harder. No argument, no lecture, no emotional theater, just a polite withdrawal that makes the entire room feel colder. That is the point. Your kindness remains visible, so you never look like the villain. Your spine remains immovable, so you are never treated like a tool. This is masculine stoicism in its sharpest form, a calm exterior with ruthless clarity on the inside. You can laugh and still say no. You can smile and still walk away. You can be pleasant while instantly ending a relationship, a deal, or a conversation. The kinder you look while doing it, the more deeply your authority burns into their memory. Make this your identity. Be approachable, but expensive to disrespect. Warm on the surface, unbreakable underneath. That is the mask. That is the weapon. Here is how you disarm people without ever looking like you're playing a game. You become easy to be around and hard to take from. Most men try to win by force. You will win by comfort. Comfort is a solvent, it melts away masks. When you adopt a kind demeanor, you let people talk. You make them feel heard. You nod. You ask simple, open-ended questions. And you never, ever rush to prove yourself, because the moment you start performing, you hand them control of your emotions. So you don't. You keep your energy stable. You offer just enough warmth to make them lower their guard, but never enough for them to feel they own you. You agree without committing. You smile without surrendering. You compliment without worshipping. You become safe in a way that makes people careless with their true intentions. Watch what they do when they believe there are no consequences. They brag. They overshare. They reveal how they truly see the world, who they envy, what they fear, what they desperately want, and what they're willing to trade to get it. You store this information quietly. Not like a gossip, but like a strategist. Because information is leverage, and the kind-looking man collects it without meeting any resistance. But there is a rule: you do not grant access faster than they have earned it. You don't reveal your plans to those who haven't proven their loyalty. You don't confess your weaknesses to those who haven't demonstrated responsibility. Kindness is not intimacy. Kindness is not trust. Kindness is a filter. You offer a small amount of warmth, and then you observe the response. Do they respect it, or do they immediately reach for more? Do they reciprocate, or do they only consume? This is how you make yourself dangerous. You stop being reactive and start being selective. The kind face remains. The open body language remains. But your inner gate becomes iron. And when they realize they cannot read you, rush you, guilt you, or provoke you into explaining yourself, that is the moment the nice guy disappears and the untouchable man emerges. Most people believe setting boundaries requires aggression because they have only ever seen weak men attempt to set limits during an emotional storm. They shout, they threaten, they over-explain, they negotiate, and by the time they are finished, the other person has already learned the real truth: this boundary is negotiable. You will not do that. Your boundaries will be clean, quiet, and final. You will say no like a man closing a vault door, not like a boy begging to be understood. The danger is not in the word itself, but in the absolute certainty behind it. When someone asks for too much, you don't soften the refusal with excuses. Excuses invite debate. You deliver a single, clear sentence, and then you stop. I'm not available for that. Pause. That doesn't work for me. Pause. I won't be doing that. Pause. The pause is power. It communicates that your decision is not the beginning of a conversation. And here is the dark psychology of it: the kinder you look while you refuse, the less they can fight you without appearing ridiculous. If you remain calm, they cannot justify their aggression. If you remain polite, they cannot paint you as hostile. You let them encounter a wall that doesn't insult them, it simply does not move. This is how you keep your image pristine while your standards remain ruthless. When they try the classic tactics, guilt, urgency, flattery, confusion, you don't counterattack. You don't defend yourself. You don't explain your character in a courtroom you never agreed to enter. You simply repeat your boundary once more, and then you alter your behavior. You respond slower. You shorten your messages. You stop offering extras. You remove access to your time, your attention, and your emotional labor. Because boundaries are not speeches, boundaries are actions. And nothing trains people faster than consequences delivered without anger. This is why it works. You don't look like a threat, but you behave like a law of nature. You are warm but not available. Helpful but not harvestable. Kind but not cheap. The world is full of people who can say nice things, very few can say no without trembling. Become that rarity. When your refusal is calm and your yes is earned, your kindness ceases to be an invitation and becomes a privilege. The most powerful consequence is the one you never announce. Weak men make threats because they want the other person to feel fear. Strong men don't need fear, they need alignment. So you stop warning people. You stop communicating your boundaries like a negotiator pleading for peace. You let reality be the teacher, because consequences that arrive silently create a profound and lasting kind of respect, the kind that changes behavior, not just mood. Here is how it works: someone disrespects you, and they brace for a reaction they know how to manage. Anger they can twist into drama. Sadness they can soothe with false promises. An argument they think they can win. You give them none of it. You keep your face kind, your voice calm, your words minimal. Then, you adjust their access. You remove the very privilege they abused. You stop giving them your fastest replies. You stop offering them your time first. You stop making introductions, sharing opportunities, providing emotional support, or covering for them socially. You do it all without a hint of drama, without gossip, without a public execution. You simply become less available, less useful, less open. The world doesn't hear a fight, it just notices the temperature in the room has dropped. That is the quiet punishment. It is not cruelty, it is clarity. You are teaching people the cost of mishandling you. And because you never scream, they can't dismiss you as emotional. Because you never insult, they can't label you as toxic. They are forced to confront the only evidence that matters: they lost access. They lost comfort. They lost their position. This is the Machiavellian lesson, applied cleanly. Never wrestle in the mud where everyone gets dirty. Keep your hands clean and let your standards do the violence. The kinder you look while enforcing them, the more it haunts them, because it defies their narrative. They wanted you to be weak. They wanted you to explode. They wanted proof that you could be controlled. Instead, they meet a man who remains polite while he closes doors. A man who doesn't hate them, he simply no longer requires them. And that is what makes you dangerous. You don't punish to feel powerful, you punish to protect your future. You don't chase respect, you set a price for disrespect. You don't threaten consequences, you become the consequence. Betrayal doesn't arrive like a villain in a film. It arrives as a small transgression you are expected to ignore. A tiny disrespect disguised as humor. A boundary accidentally crossed. A favor that transforms into an entitlement. The reason most people get blindsided is simple: they only look for betrayal when it's already a gaping wound. You will learn to catch it when it's still a whisper. Start with the first signal, micro-disrespect. The subtle interruption when you're speaking. The delayed reply that only occurs until they need something. The way they talk over your plans as if they are inconsequential. Disrespect is always a test before it becomes a pattern. Second signal, guilt tactics. After all I've done for you. You've changed. You're being selfish. This is not communication, it is control wearing emotional clothing. Third signal, forced urgency. The sudden, intense pressure to decide, to commit, to forgive, to explain. A manipulator thrives on speed because speed prevents critical thought. Fourth signal, selective kindness. They are warm when they want something and cold the moment you need something. Their niceness runs on a schedule. Fifth signal, boundary bargaining. They don't accept your no. They try to negotiate it. Just this once. Be more flexible. Don't take it so seriously. Notice what is happening. They aren't disagreeing with your decision, they are challenging your authority over your own life. Here is the Stoic advantage: you do not confront every signal like a detective desperate to be right. You do not make accusations. You do not become emotional. You simply shift from giving to observing. You reduce what you offer and watch what they do when the supply runs low. Do they respect your space, or do they panic and escalate? Do they become more transparent, or do they become more cruel? This is the cleanest test on earth because it relies on reality, not arguments. When you spot the early signs, you act early, not with rage, but with distance. You become polite but less reachable. Warm but less open. Present, but no longer accessible in the same way. The goal is not to catch betrayal, the goal is to stop feeding it. The kind face stays, the calm tone stays, but your inner door locks much sooner. The moment someone realizes your kindness has a limit they cannot negotiate, they expose exactly who they are, either a respectful adult or a parasite in search of a softer host. This is where it evolves from a tactic into a lifestyle. The kinder you appear, the more you must live by unshakable rules, because your very face will invite people to test you. You will attract confessions, requests, emotional dumping, hidden jealousy, and quiet competition, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your softness makes people feel they can enter your world without permission. So, you become the rare man who is generous by choice, not by pressure. You remain polite, but you are never perpetually available. You stay warm, but you are not easy. You can be useful, but you are not harvestable. That is the long game, kindness with structure. You give people a good experience of you, but you never hand them ownership of you. You can help someone once and still refuse the second time. You can listen with deep empathy and still leave the moment a conversation veers into manipulation. You can be calm in the face of conflict and still end the connection without needing their approval or applause. You don't run on emotion, you run on standards. And standards are what make the kind man dangerous. Here is the trapdoor people fall into: they mistake your calm for tolerance and your smile for permission. They think, he's fine with it. He won't mind. He'll understand. And you do understand. You understand exactly what they are doing. You just refuse to reward it. You don't react dramatically, because drama is the currency of their game. You respond strategically, because strategy ends their game. When someone respects you, your kindness becomes a sanctuary, stable, supportive, and strong. When someone tries to use you, your kindness becomes a mirage, it vanishes the moment they reach for it. That stark contrast is what trains the world around you. People learn that being close to you is not about charm, it's about character. It's about integrity. It's about how they conduct themselves when they think no one is watching. Over time, something powerful happens. You build true alliances quietly, because healthy people feel safe in your warmth and trust your consistency. Unhealthy people grow anxious around your boundaries and will start calling you cold the moment you cease to be convenient. Let them. Labels are the weapons of those who have lost control over you. Your job is not to be liked, your job is to be untouchable. So you keep your image clean and your rules sharp. You don't chase anyone who walks away. You don't over-explain yourself to anyone who doubts you. You don't compete for a seat at tables that expect you to shrink. You walk calmly, kindly, and with the quiet certainty that your time is a valuable currency. And when someone tries to cross you, they do not meet a monster. They meet a polite man who simply removes their access and lets them live with the emptiness they themselves created. That is the long game. Warm face, cold standards, unbreakable spine. Now, we close the circle. I told you that the most dangerous person in the room is the one who looks kind. But now you must understand the deeper truth: your danger isn't cruelty. Your danger is control. You are the man who can be warm without being weak, calm without being passive, and polite without being pliable. You don't need to intimidate, because your boundaries speak for you. You don't need to argue, because your actions end all debate. You don't need revenge, because the greatest punishment is permanent removal. The moment you deny people access to your attention, your time, your trust, and your generosity, you become untouchable. The world is full of loud predators and loud victims. You will be neither. You will be disciplined. You will be selective. You will be the kind man with rules, and rules are what separate a gentleman from a target. From this day forward, you move differently. You stop distributing your softness like a charity, you make people earn it through respect. You stop explaining yourself to manipulators who are only listening for weaknesses. You stop fighting to be understood by people who profit from misunderstanding you. You become consistent, because consistency is terrifying to those who rely on chaos. You become slow to trust, because speed is how traps are sprung. You become calm under pressure, because pressure is how they try to force leaks. And you become comfortable walking away, because a man who can leave is a man who can never be owned. That is the final form. A warm face, an unmovable spine. A presence that relaxes good people and deeply unsettles bad ones, not because you threaten them, but because they cannot find the handle to control you. They cannot predict what will make you bend, because you do not bend. They can either meet your standard or lose their access. And you deliver this message without hate, without noise, without drama. Just quiet, inevitable consequence. If you understand this, prove it. Comment this phrase right now: soft face, hard rules. Let it be your daily reminder that your kindness is not an invitation. It is a privilege, and it must be earned.